Hello and welcome to our program. President Moon Jae-in's five-nation Europe tour is focused on bringing European nations up to speed on his administration's denuclearization drive on the Korean Peninsula. How will Europe be able to support President Moon's vision for forging lasting peace on the Koreas? Before we get to it, here is what we have for you today.
On this week's A Road to Peace, we discuss President Moon Jae-in's tour of Europe and the role of European countries in Seoul's efforts to bring lasting peace to the Korean Peninsula. We also take a look at North Korea's news broadcast covering high-tech movie theaters in major cities across the country. Lastly, we visit a film festival in Pyeongchang screening selected North Korean films.
For today's discussion, we're joined by Dr. Bong Young-sik of Yonsei University's Institute for North Korean Studies. Welcome to the program, Dr. Bong.
Very pleased to be here.
So Europe doesn't exactly appear to be a direct party to the affairs on the Korean Peninsula. Then why is Seoul trying to gain support from Europe at this point?
Well, North Korea's development of nuclear weapons and the long-range missiles have made the issue of nuclear weapons that North Korea has international threat to the global community. So it is no longer a security threat to South Korea and Japan in the short range of the North Korea's missile threats, but it has become a regional threat to Japan, China, and Russia. But now it has become a global threat because in its own words by the North Korean leadership, North Korea has acquired thermal nuclear warheads and intercontinental ballistic missile that can reliably reach any part of the territory of the United States and the European countries. So North Korea's weapon and missile capability is no longer considered as a threat that is only limited to the context of the inter-Korean relations and the U.S.-Korea security alliance. And remember that the European Union has been the pioneering voice in international community in protection and advocacy of human rights and the denuclearization, keeping the world free from nuclear weapons and use of nuclear materials only for the peaceful purposes. So for those two reasons, North Korea has become the main target of criticisms and condemnations by the European member countries in the United Nations for its abhorrent record of gross human rights violations and persistent pursuit of nuclear warheads and long-range missiles.
France is also one of the permanent nations of the UN Security Council, which enables it to say yes or no to the sanctions against North Korea. But yet France hasn't made any diplomatic relations with North Korea, at least formally. What's your take on this?
That makes the targeting France even more important for Moon Jae-in government of South Korea to induce in order to get the international support for its approach to the Kim Jong-un regime of North Korea, which is slightly different from the approach endorsed by the Trump administration of the United States and the Abe government of Japan. United States and Japan are really firm that unless North Korean leadership is going to make far more concrete and verifiable steps toward the complete denuclearization of North Korea, such as the submission of the list of its nuclear materials, facilities, and missile parts, and the declaring very specific timetable of the dismantling its nuclear facilities and missile parts out of the country, the United States and Japan will not ease existing economic sanctions, including the United Nations resolutions. But Moon Jae-in government's approach is more toward the engagement that President Moon Jae-in of South Korea explained to his counterpart in the summit meeting in France, French President Macron, that through 3 summit meetings with Mr. Kim, I have confirmed that he has a genuine intention to abandon nuclear weapons and missiles in exchange for security assurance and the international support for North Korea's economic development. So it is time for international community to ease economic sanctions in order to keep that intentions and the strategic decision made by the supreme leader of North Korea to continuously move in the direction of economic prosperity and away from security assurance based upon the maintenance of nuclear weapons and missiles. So there is a fissure, a difference in opinion between South Korea that seems to give more benefit of doubt to the words by the leadership of North Korea that North Korea is ready to move toward economic development if there will be economic benefits, including lifting economic sanctions. And the United States and Japan are countries saying that it is premature to believe whatever, everything that North Korean leadership says about denuclearization. So we have to wait and see whether South Korean government's argument will be accepted by other countries, including France. But as French President Macron said in the joint press conference after the summit meeting with the South Korean President Moon Jae-in, even France does not seem to be ready to support South Korean government's position. President Macron said that France will keep economic sanctions in place unless there will be a very concrete indication that North Korea has achieved meaningful denuclearization. So France is basically with the United States and Japan away from China and Russia in terms of maintaining the same position that unless there will be additional concrete steps of the denuclearization made by Kim Jong-un government of North Korea, the French government will maintain the same position that all economic sanctions on North Korea in the aftermath of its missile and nuclear test, including United Nations Security Council resolutions, must be in place.
I see now China and Russia are other permanent members of the UNSC, but they've been calling for actually an easing of sanctions on North Korea. But from North Korea's standpoint, would you say that this works in favor of or perhaps goes against it in terms of the negotiations going on with the United States?
Well, North Korea has to knock every door, because North Korea has been extremely alienated since its numerous missile and nuclear tests, which resulted in also numerous economic sanctions and other punishment by other countries in the international community. So North Korea wants to get out of this web of economic sanctions and other forms of pressure. That explains the reason why the Kim Jong-un government has been sending main diplomats to other countries, including China and Russia, by Ms. Choi Sung-hee, who is in charge of the diplomatic engagement with the outside world, Russia and China. But as you correctly pointed out, that there are not just the two members as a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. There are 5 permanent members in the United Nations Security Council, and easing United Nations Security Council resolutions on North Korea would require unanimous decisions by all 5 members, P5s. That include not just China and Russia, unfortunately to North Korea, but also France, UK, and the United States. So it is understandable for Kim Jong-un government to actively induce the support from Russia and China, but that's the easy part. But the critical point is whether North Korea can somehow bring other 3 permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, France, UK, and the United States, also on the same board in terms of deciding to ease existing United Nations Security Council resolutions. Otherwise, all these nice gestures of the inter-Korean cooperations, including the declaration that both governments are going to have the groundbreaking ceremony of the project to reconnect railroads, and the South Korean government rendering help to restore the forest in North Korea. The chance for these projects to be actually materialized still remains in great doubt, because United Nations Security Council Resolution 2371 and 2375 explicitly prohibit any joint ventures with North Korean entities and individuals and sectoral goods going into North Korea, like the heavy machineries that are essential for these projects to actually get the ground going. So these are all nice in terms of declaring the desire to promote inter-Korean economic cooperations and helping North Korea walk on the path toward the economic development and away from pursuit of nuclear weapons and missiles. But as long as there will be concrete steps taken by the North Korean government for denuclearization that are to be regarded as acceptable and verifiable to the United States and other countries, then these declarations are likely to remain as declarations.
Now, as always, we will now watch a selected clip from North Korea's KCTV to better understand the country's culture and society. Movies are a huge part of popular culture in North Korea, and North Korean moviegoers enjoy an immersive cinema experience at high-tech 4D theaters, not just in the nation's capital, but also in other cities. Let's take a look.
수십 년간 당이 맡겨준 처소에서 지혜와 열정을 다 바치어 성실하게 일하고 있는 일꾼들 속에는 문화성 영화무대 미술 제작소 실장 리명순 동지도 있습니다. 자기 직업에 대한 긍지와 보람을 간직하고 단발머리 처녀 시절부터 36년간 그 어떤 명예와 보수도 바람이 없이 처소를 지켜온 그는 높은 실력과 불같은 헌신성을 지니고 수많은 의상, 서도구들을 제작해서 주체예술 발전에 적극 이바지해왔습니다. 강한 원칙성과 뜨거운 인정미를 지니고 이신작측의 모범으로 대중을 당정책 관철회로 힘있게 이끌어 정업원들로부터 우리 실장으로 불리우는 리명순 동지는 자신을 사회주의 애국 공로자로 감높이 내세워준 당의 믿음과 사랑에 보답하기 위한 충정의 한길을 변함없이 걸어가고 있습니다.
우리 인민들이 보다 문명한 생활을 누리게 하려는 당의 숭고한 뜻을 받들고 신의주 목난 광명보급소에서 신의주 립체 율동영화관에 새로운 유의 오락 설비들을 보충 설치해서 찾아오는 사람들에게 기쁨과 즐거움을 안겨주고 있습니다.
우리 립체 율동영화관에서는 지금 아름다운 평양, 하늘을 나는 사람들, 마식령 스키장에서를 비롯한 새 영화들을 방영하고 있습니다. 그리고 농구공룡키, 거울집, 자동차 경주를 비롯한 새로운 유의 오락 설비들을 갖춰놓고 우리 율동영화관을 찾아오는 손님들에게 기쁨을 주고 있습니다. 우리는 이렇게 새로운 설비들을 갖춰놓은 데 맞게 모든 봉사원들이 찾아오는 손님들에 대한 봉사성을 더 친절하게 해서 그들이 보다도 문명한 생활을 누릴 수 있게 하도록 하겠습니다.
So the 4D theaters in Pyongyang look a lot like the ones in Seoul, and I heard there are more in the other cities of North Korea. I guess Kim Jong-un's really trying to invest into the cinema industry within its country.
Definitely. This is a very good window to look into today's North Korea and what the current leadership is going to achieve as a basis of legitimacy. No more socialist revolution will be as effective as it used to be for North Korean leadership to maintain. As you could see from the video clip that at least the citizens in Pyongyang have tasted and become so familiar with the fruits of economic prosperity and good lifestyle. There is no turning back for North Koreans who have tasted the power of market and the prosperity. That makes North Korea even more susceptible to the pressure of economic sanctions. Although on surface, North Korea is a 주체 system, self-reliance political and economic system, but in reality, North Korean system, in order for it to function, depends upon the smooth functioning of economic activities, including its trade with China. North Korea's trade with China accounts for above 95% of all trade it has with the world. So, under the United Nations Security Council resolutions, the trade with China has been significantly reduced, meaning that North Korean people who have become so dependent upon the functions of market cannot get the money to maintain basic, decent lifestyle. So time is not really on the side of North Korea as long as economic sanctions will remain in place.
Well, that's an interesting point, and that actually leads to my next question. Then what movies are playing in Pyongyang's theaters? Up until now, North Korean films were believed to include heavy propaganda messages, but things are beginning to change. Last weekend, we went to check out a film festival held in Pyeongchang, offering South Korean movie fans a rare opportunity to watch North Korean films. Here's more on that.
The peace-themed film festival kicked off in Pyeongchang, the host city of the 2018 Winter Olympic Games.
평화를 이끌어가는 영화제로 우뚝 서서 남북한의 모든 많은 국민들에게 뜨거운 사랑을 받는 영화제가 되지 않을까 될 것이다 이런 상상을 했었습니다.
Among the films that generated buzz in Pyeongchang were North Korean films, which have been a rarity in South Korea.
정치적인 그런 걸 떠나서 문화적인 교류가 아무래도 평화의 중요한 매개체가 되지 않을까 싶어서 다양한 그런 영화를 준비하게 되었습니다.
The Pyeongchang Peace Film Festival opener was Comrade Kim Goes Flying, a North Korean-British-Belgian co-production. British filmmaker Nicholas Boner co-directed the film alongside Belgian producer Anya Delamont and North Korean filmmaker Kim Jong-un. It is a romantic comedy about a young female coal miner who dreams of becoming an acrobat. We sat down with the film's co-director Nicholas Boner, who visited Korea to attend the film festival.
I'd made documentaries beforehand, and they were for a sort of foreign audience, a Western audience, and I thought with a North Korean friend we were sat down, I don't want to make any more documentaries, what's next? So we decided let's do a feature film, and then we came up with a subject, and it's based on one of my North Korean friends, and it's about girl power. It's about a girl wanting to achieve her dreams, but everything is put in the way to stop her.
The film developed a good following from South Korean movie fans after being screened in several film festivals, including the Busan International Film Festival and the Bucheon International Fantastic Film Festival.
This is why we made it. We made the film to be shown. It's a film that was made for a North Korean audience. It was for their entertainment, but the fact is it's a story, a universal story that we made. When I say we, it's myself, Anya, and my North Korean colleague, that seems to a story that resonates with everyone. So, I mean, it's amazing. Yeah, very exciting.
Viewers found the movie entertaining and refreshing, surprised by the absence of political content.
우리나라 사람들이 많이 봐도 가볍고 즐겁게 볼 수 있는 영화였던 것 같습니다.
예, 재밌었어요. 그리고 그 나라, 그러니까 북한에 대해서 우리가 몰랐던 점들을 조금은 이해할 수 있게 됐고.
일단 북한 영화가 저희가 쉽게 볼 수 없잖아요. 그래가지고 되게 봐서 좋은 경험이었고 되게 처음에 그냥 정적인 분위기로 갈 줄 알았는데 되게 재밌는 부분도 상당히 있어가지고 재밌게 봤습니다.
The other North Korean films screened at the festival included The Story of Our Home and The Wheels of Happiness, which both tell the stories of everyday North Koreans. North Korean films selected for screenings at South Korean film festivals are light, feel-good movies that do not feature overtly political themes.
아무래도 북한이라고 하는 이제 사회 정치적 특성들이 영화에 반영되기 때문에 또 그런 반영이 아직까지도 국내에서는 완전하게 이제 이해할 수 있는 사항 정도도 아니기 때문에 가능하면 이데올로기가 좀 비교적 적은 작품이면서도 최근의 북한의 생활 문화를 알 수 있는 작품 중심으로 많이 선호를 하는 것 같습니다.
North Korean cinema, which has long been used as a propaganda tool to indoctrinate the people, is undergoing a major transformation under Kim Jong-un's leadership.
요즘 이제 북한 전문가라고 하는 사람들이 공통으로 하는 얘기가 잘 못 맞추겠다. 우리가 생각했던 것보다 훨씬 더 큰 변화들이 일어나고 있다. 그래서 도대체 북한의 이런 변화가 언제부터 준비되고 언제부터 이게 계획된 것인가에 대한 논란들이 있긴 한데요. 최근에 어쨌든 굉장히 빠른 속도로 변화되고 있고요.
Recent changes in North Korean films, including a realistic portrayal of everyday life, are part of the young North Korean leaders' reform drive. Driven by the changing trends within North Korea and improved cross-border relations, the two Koreas are expected to further boost cultural exchanges.
우선 북한 영화에 대한 정확한 이해, 북한 영화사의 어떤 특징들을 면밀하게 좀 점검하고 기본적인 데이터, 특히 이제 남북 관계에서는 북한 문화예술과 관련되어져 있는 기본 정보 데이터망들을 좀 구축하는 작업이 동시적으로 진행이 돼야지만 좀 장기적으로 또 지속적으로 이제 교류 효과를 낼 수 있다라고 생각을 하고 있습니다.
Film exchanges are driving the momentum of exchanges between the two Koreas in various areas. Hopefully, these exchanges will bring the two sides closer together.
Now, the content of the North Korean movies were actually very different from what most people would expect. Could it be that North Korean movies are actually changing in content and also in structure these days?
Definitely. North Korea is changing. It has significantly changed. One good example is the first word said by the North Korean soldier who had defected through the demilitarized zone, right? He was in a critical condition because he had been shot 5 times while he risked his life to come down to the south. But in his recovery bed, after the emergency operation going well, the surgeon showed the music video of the famous girl group. Right? And he recognized instantly who the girl group was, and he actually was able to name every member of the group.
That was very shocking to me.
I was very shocked, and I realized that I belong to the old generation, and he is far advanced than I am in terms of appreciating pop culture of South Korea. And he said that, I like girls' generation. What does it mean? At least the young generation in North Korean society are very much imbued with pop culture of South Korea. So the authority in North Korea, it must be very well aware of how to maintain the effective propaganda, to maintain public support for the Korean Workers' Party and Supreme Leadership. Only relying upon the traditional message of revolution or self-defense against the plots by U.S. imperialists would not be effective for young generations in North Korean society. You have to send the message of the patriotism from different angles and by different themes. Because these generations in North Korea who have been living very familiar with the basic market economy, not just the centralized national economy, are reasonably familiar with South Korea's pop culture and the outside world. There are at least 3 million cell phones inside North Korea, and it has been reported that you can actually order food if you are living in Pyeongchang. It's just like in Seoul, in South Korea, that you can order fried chicken by calling the number. So North Korean authority is very well aware of this change that has already taken place inside North Korea. So even the movies produced by North Korean authority have a different characteristics compared to their old versions.
We're seeing a lot of interesting changes in scenes in North Korea, and I think that's for the better. It seems like a very positive development in the country.
It's a positive development, meaning that it is now almost inevitable for North Korean authority to increasingly rely upon providing better life conditions for North Korean population if it wants to stay in power. No longer revolution will keep the population faithful and loyal to the authority. you have to give them tangible benefits if the authority wants to remain in control over the population.
Thank you, Dr. Bong, so much for sharing your insights with us today.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Now, movies provide a lens into society. Although several film festivals held this year shed light on North Korean films, they still remain unfamiliar to those outside of the country. Hopefully, we'll have more chance to screen North Korean films in the South and South Korean films in the North to help develop a better understanding of each other's culture. Well, this is all we have for you today. We'll be back next week. Thanks for watching.